Peace, peace, peace. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. For those of you who don't know, it's your boy vicslanghope. And today I'm going to make a video about the 5 things or the 5 lessons that I got out of prison/jail. And these are not necessarily in a particular order, but one of the main things that I learned from going to jail/prison was that people are not who you think they are, And usually when you get into a situation when you are in need and when you expect certain people to do certain things for you or come through for you, then you really get to see, kind of like who people are and how they conduct themselves and how they behave. And I think that's a good thing a lot of times, right? A lot of times, if you was in a situation or a predicament where you always looked out or you always did certain things for people, and now for maybe like the first time or the second time in your life, you might need people to do things for you, and you really see how they act, because now like you can't really do certain things for yourself and you're dependent on people. You really get to see who people are, right? Also in jail, like a lot of people just be telling stories about people who they really wasn't in the street, right? Or whatever, right? Like, so you really get to see who people are, right? Like, people are not who you think they are, right? Like, or you see somebody who might act tough in front of like, everybody else, right, in public, but then, in their own time, they really cowards, right? So I'm just saying that to say that like prison/jail helps you see like that whether it's your homies in the town, whether it's the people trying to act tough in the yard or in front of people or whatever the case might be, it just helps you see that people are not really who they think they are or who they say they are, right? Or who you thought they was. Another thing is, I want to talk about accountability, and I always talk about accountability. And I think that like when I first got to jail, like I always blame somebody. Like I always say, oh, I'm in jail. I'm only in jail because somebody snitched on me. But eventually, I started to become more accountable. I started to say, like, no, I'm in jail because of my actions. I'm in jail because of something that I did. I'm in jail because I joined the gang. I'm in jail because part of joining the gang means putting in work. Part of putting in work means doing things against the law, right? So at some point, you got to become accountable to yourself and the stuff that you have done. So, and until you become accountable to those things, then you're never gonna really feel like you did anything wrong. And most people that do things wrong in society or to anybody, they always try to justify their wrongs and saying that they ain't do nothing wrong. So accountability is something that I definitely learned. It's definitely a lesson that I carry with me, and it's something that I definitely implement on my day-to-day basis because it has allowed me to progress and become a better individual. Another thing that I learned, another lesson, it was awareness, right? Like, I think that like being in the streets, you tend, being in the hood and doing, street stuff, you learn about awareness. You learn to become hyper vigilant. I wasn't as hyper vigilant, but you tend to like keep your eyes open. You tend to keep your ears open because you playing the games, you playing the dangerous game in the street, right? But I think like when you get to jail and prison, you gotta play that game at a higher level. You gotta like really pay attention to the things that people do and the things that people say. There's a saying that says like, if you want to get to know somebody, all you gotta do is watch him and listen to him. That's all you gotta do. You ain't gotta say nothing. You ain't gotta talk to him. But all you gotta do is watch them and listen to the things they say. That's all you gotta do. Just pay attention. And when you do talk to them, don't talk much. You might say a little things here and there, but always listen and always watch what people do and what they say, and they will definitely show you who they are. So prison definitely showed me you got to be more attentive. You got to pay more attention. There's so many people, even out here in the streets, there's so many people that just be walking around and they don't know what's going on. A lot of dudes get killed, because they don't know what's going on. They're not watching their surroundings. Like, I be watching some of these videos, how people just be walking up to people. And don't get me wrong, I feel like, I believe when it's your time to go, it's your time to go. But like, at the same time, I feel like a lot of these dudes, nobody really taught them. They don't really know how the streets go. They jumped off straight off the porch, kind of like me. But some people kind of like taught me the ropes a little bit. But A lot of them is just jumping off the porch. They're not paying attention. They're not looking both sides before they crossing the street. They're only looking one way, and they're not aware. They're not hyper vigilant about what's going on. And and a lot of times they pay with their life. So that's something that prison also taught me, to like be hyper vigilant. You never know when you gotta pay attention to the cues and the signs when something's gonna jump off, when somebody gonna get stabbed, when somebody looking at you like they trying to do something. You just gotta pay attention. You gotta be aware. Another thing that, of course, right, this might be the biggest thing, right? And I would say is Islam. Islam was definitely one of the biggest things, biggest lessons from going to prison, from going to jail. Because a lot of the things that replace some of the negative ideologies that I had, or some of the negative customs that I had, or some of the negative behavior that I might have had, Islam replaced a lot of those things, right? And one of the biggest things that Islam gave me was patience. It helped me be patient. That was the biggest thing that it helped me achieve. Because not only are you in jail or you're in prison, you can't really do certain things, but it also helped me. A lot of times in the streets we get into things because we're not patient enough. A lot of times we need money, and we not patient enough, so we go sell drugs. We're not patient enough, so we go rob somebody. We're not we're not patient enough, so you might kill somebody for something, for a valuable thing, right? So a lot of times, if we was just more patient, a little more patient, some other things might have came about, or might have played into our lap, into our whole situation, and made our life better. But we're not patient enough. Another thing is, Islam taught me how to tell the truth more. I'm not saying that I wasn't truthful. I just felt like, I didn't have a problem lying. You know what I'm saying? It was like, oh, it's just a little lie. To me, it wasn't that serious. But Islam taught me that, right? Like, you should never lie. You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't be a liar. So it also taught me discipline, to be able to hold on to your prayers, pray 5 times a day, right? And try not to miss those things. In jail, you're not really doing a lot of things. But I think, like, it's about discipline, not just about the prayer. Like, you got to wash up. You got to purify yourself a certain way. You got to try not to do certain things, especially during the month of Ramadan, right? It's a lot of discipline. So it taught me that. And one of the other things that Islam taught me was forgiveness, right? Like, it taught me how to forgive not only myself, but to forgive those who did me wrong. Forgive the people who I might have felt they did me wrong. And also, like, to know that I can't be sitting here trying to ask God for forgiveness and not be able to forgive people, Like, but like I said, like, the main person that you got to forgive is yourself. A lot of times we so hard on ourselves. We ended up in a situation, we in jail. Our family is out there. Our kids is out there. Our loved ones is out there. And we felt like we let them down. But more importantly, we left ourselves down. And, we kind of be hard on ourselves. And sometimes you just got to be like, what shit happened, but what am I going to do from this point forward? And I think, like, that's one of the biggest things, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't be dwelling on the past. It's about what you're going to do, how you're going to move forward from this. And the last thing I would say is, anybody deserves redemption. Like, I know some people come to prison, jail with crazy charges. It might be some heinous murder. It might be some rape. It might be touching little boys. It might be whatever we think is crazy, or little girls. But one thing, and even though I do dislike some of those charges that some people commit, who am I, again, right, to sit here and look down upon somebody who might be seeking redemption? Like, people do commit crazy crimes, don't get me wrong. But if a person is sorry, if a person is trying to figure out ways to give forgiveness, if a person is trying to figure out ways to give back, and I know some people might say, like, oh, you can't give back, you can't do this, you can't do that once you do certain things. I just feel like that's up to God, man. Like, we all sin, and we all got different skeletons in our closets. And I'm nobody to sit here and condemn somebody. At the end of the day, I'm seeking my own redemption. I'm seeking my own forgiveness. So I can't sit here and look down upon somebody who might have changed their life around, or who is trying to change their life around. So I just know that I met some people who might have had some crazy charges, who were changing things around, who was doing different things, who were trying to seek redemption. So I say that to say that, like, we all got, like I said, we all got skeletons, and we all seeking our forgiveness. Now we all not seeking forgiveness, but I think the people who genuinely want forgiveness and who are trying to make things up and do better things should be forgiven. Again, it's not up to me. It's up to the Lord. And at the end of the day, or for those of us who believe, we be seeking forgiveness from God. So who are we to deny forgiveness to somebody? But that's the 5 lessons. I probably got other lessons too, but these are some of like the biggest things that I kind of like learned from jail and prison. If y'all like it, make sure you share it, like it, comment, subscribe. Word, peace.